Ms. Brescher's. I'm just going to have her step into the other room. She does not have a phone. She doesn't have the technology. She doesn't have the capability of participating with her own device. But she was going to use Ms. Marquina's phone to testify whenever it's appropriate.
Okay, but the rule has been invoked, so that means there may be other people here who would have to also step out. Are there anybody? Is there anyone else?
I don't think so.
Your Honor, I have Officers Barron and Officer Sanford from the Bastrop Police Department.
Okay, would you
as
turn
witnesses.
off your? Well, they won't know to come back in, so Jennifer will have to break them out.
Is it just the two officers?
Yes.
Yes, the other ones are representatives of the department.
Yes.
Did I do everything right?
Sorry, we're
I have the same question.
gonna try this again
Okay.
in 20 seconds. Yeah, I'm just gonna bring this all back out. It's okay. I put us all in a breakout room, so we're gonna, in 9 seconds, we're all gonna come back into the.
It's working.
No, it's gonna. Okay.
Judge.
Unfortunately,
I'm going to withdraw my request to invoke the rule. I'm going to uninvoke.
no, it's okay. So clearly I don't know what I'm doing.
I'll withdraw my
Can I ask
request.
the officers if they could leave, and then whoever,
Okay, okay.
whoever,
Hold on, Jennifer.
when they want to
They,
come back.
Mr. Collins has
Uninvoked.
uninvoked the rule. And so therefore we're just going to proceed. Mr. Nizenblatt?
Yes, Your Honor. Andrea Carnahan, the investigator.
Okay, she was sworn.
Ms. Carnahan, will you please state your name and your role in this case?
Andrea Carnahan, investigator for the department.
And will you identify the parents in this case?
Yes, Gabriela Marquina, who is showing up as the LG Stylo, as well as Mr. Ayala, who is showing up as Robert Bennett.
And will you please name the children subject to the suit?
Yes, the children in the case are Adabella Ayala, Adabella Ayala, Madeline Ayala, Louis Ayala, and Benjamin Ayala.
Sorry. Will you please tell the court how the department became involved with this family?
Yes, on December 17th of 2020, the department received an intake stating that law enforcement had responded to multiple incidents of domestic violence at the residence within the months of November and December, that they had responded to one on December 16th involving Mr. Ayala and Miss Marquina, where there was an incident where one threw an object at another, and there was some going back and forth. When law enforcement got to the residence, Mr. Ayala was gone. He could not be found. It was reported that the home smelled like marijuana. Miss Marquina reported that Mr. Ayala was smoking in the home and stated that she did not know where he was. When the department responded, we still could not find him. He was never spoken to or interviewed. We tried to reach out to him. His family said they didn't know where he was. She said she did not know where he was and that she would report to us or law enforcement if he did show back up. We did drug test Miss Marquina. She was negative on a hair follicle test to confirm that the marijuana in the home was not hers. Then on January 22nd, we received a secondary report that law enforcement had served a felony warrant for Mr. Ayala and found him at the residence, at the family's residence. It was reported that in the home, there was methamphetamines found accessible to the children, and that Mr. Ayala was, in fact, picked up and taken to Bastrop County on the felony warrant. When I responded, Miss Marquina was not happy that we were there. She did not want to take a drug test. The children were inside the home unattended when I got there. I was finally able to speak to the children at the neighbor's home. While I was in my vehicle staffing, a vehicle pulled up. It was later identified that that was one of the paternal aunts, and they both tried to put the children in the vehicle to take off with the children before we could ensure safety.
Ms. Carnahan,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you. What was the safety issue regarding mother and the children?
The safety issue at that point was the fact that Mr. Ayala was found in the home after he was never cooperative with CPS, the department, or law enforcement in reference to the domestic violence and the drugs that were found in the home. Ms. Marquina was supposed to notify us if and when he showed back up, and she did not. meaning that there was concerns for domestic violence in the home that were still unaddressed and a risk to the children's safety.
And in your investigation, did you find if the domestic violence between Ms. Marquina and Mr. Ayala occurred in front of the children?
It is a very small home. Even if the children were ever in another room during an incident, they would not be very far from it.
Okay. And you testified earlier that Ms. Marquina admitted that Mr. Ayala was smoking marijuana in the home?
Yes.
Do you know if the children were home at that time?
I do not know that. The children were home when law enforcement responded to the first incident. I cannot say that the children were in the home while he was actively smoking. I do not know that information.
But it's clear from the investigation and your testimony that she was allowing a known drug user in her home and around the children.
Yes.
And is that a safety concern that the department wishes to address?
Yes.
And what alternatives to removal did the department explore?
The original thought was to implement some sort of safety plan, possible parent-child safety placement. At the time, we had very limited options on who would be a safe and viable option to place the children with immediately. There is history with specific family members, as well as when the other paternal aunt showed up and tried to remove the children, that definitely became a not a safe placement.
And with Mr. Ayala in jail right now, what safety concerns do you have leaving the children with the mother?
So a thorough look back into history did expose that Ms. Marquina herself does have mental health issues that were not fully addressed in a previous family-based safety services case because the family left and went back to Florida. Those are currently not being addressed, as well as her judgment for allowing Mr. Ayala back into the home, knowing that he had that warrant for strangulation as well as using drugs.
And do you believe that has created a dangerous safety issue for the children?
Yes.
And where are the children currently placed?
Currently, the children are placed with the paternal grandmother and the paternal aunt.
And is the department requesting that placement continue?
Yes.
And what is the proposed visitation plan?
Currently, we proposed that Ms. Marquina could get 2 visits a week with Benjamin, who is the youngest. He is under a year old, and 2 visits a month with the oldest 3 children.
And why are there different visitation plans for the children?
Because Benjamin is under a year old, and the mother-child relationship, there's still a lot of bonding that needs to happen, and we do not want to impose on that.
And are there sibling visits scheduled, or are they placed together?
They are all placed together.
And there was a request for court-ordered services case for a mother. What is the department's position on that request?
My concern for this, if it was possibly to go that direction, would be in 2016, there was a family-based case. The services were not completed, and the family went to Florida. I don't believe that the family is going to get the services they need in a COS case.
Pass this witness.
Mr. Anderson, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, Your Honor, excuse me. Ms. Carnahan, what services would be offered, would the department be able to offer if the department's named temporary managing conservator beyond what services could be offered in a court ordered services case?
In a COS case, we would not be able to guarantee the completion of the services in the same way we would be able to in a TMC case. We can still offer those psychological assessments, parenting classes, everything that we could order, but there is more of a guarantee that the family will actually complete them in the CDS case.
Well, it was your testimony that you could not receive, she could not be provided the same services, but the truth is, in a court ordered services case, she can be.
Objection to form.
Sustained.
Ms. Carnahan, did you write the affidavit of removal that was filed in this case?
Yes,
And in the affidavit of removal, you mentioned there's a report that alleges that methamphetamines were found in the home.
yes.
And what report are you referring to?
I'm referring to the report that the department received on January 22nd.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to. Can you actually leave the room because I can't. Yeah, I apologize. I'm hearing myself and it's distracting. The truth is that methamphetamines were never found in the home. Isn't that right?
That I cannot specifically answer. I can answer to what our report came in as.
Okay. And so, did you ever follow up with law enforcement to determine if that was accurate?
Yes,
Okay. And did you learn otherwise, that methamphetamine was never actually found in the home?
I have not been able to speak to the officers personally.
Okay. And the truth is that methamphetamines were found on Mr. Ayaya's person. Isn't that right?
Objection form.
Sustained.
The report also alleges that the drugs were found, that the drugs were within reach of the children. Isn't that right?
According to my report.
Yeah. But you weren't able to verify that, were you?
Not at the time of the removal, no.
You made contact. You made contact with Ms. Marquina and the children on December 18th, 2020. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did the children have any marks or bruises on them?
No,
Did the children appear to be malnourished?
no,
Did the children engage in any inappropriate behavior that was concerning to you?
no.
One second, Your Honor. I apologize. And when you inspected the home, there was food, water, and electricity?
Yes.
Is that right? Judge, may I have 2 minutes?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I'll be right back. You testified that that the department has some concerns about Ms. Marquina's mental health. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Did you refer her to a service provider for her to receive support for her mental health?
Not as of yet. We are here to see what type of services are going to be needed.
Do you believe it would have been a reasonable step to take to address the department's safety concerns about her mental health by recommending that she receive mental health support, over 2 months ago, back in December?
Yes, it could have. It has not been over 2 months ago, but no, that was not done yet.
Okay, so about 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, is that more accurate?
Okay.
Are you aware that Ms. Marquina completed parenting classes back in 2016 for that family-based safety services?
She did complete some of the services in FBSS, but not all FBSS was completed.
And so, in addition to the mental health concerns that the department did not take any steps to address or support starting back in mid-December, what concerns?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the form of this question. We are here for, the department has filed. We need TMC to be offering services. So I think it's a mischaracterization of the totality of the circumstances.
Well, Judge, I think that the department should be proactive and
I'm overruling the objection.
So the department failed, thank you, Your Honor, the department failed to offer mental health support to Ms. Marquina to help her address her mental health services. But in addition to the mental health, what concerns does the department have as far as how she somehow endangers the children?
The department has concerns for the ongoing domestic violence that was in the home and around the children. The fact that the FBSS services were not completed in the case in 2016. The drugs in the home that she admitted were his, and she allowed him to stay back in the home, questioning whether or not she is making the safe choices for her children. The fact that she has these children, she's said numerous times that she wants to go back to Florida, and there's nothing to say that she would stay here to complete the services if this was a COS. Also, a concern being the neglectful supervision of the children, not only with the domestic violence, but when I showed up at the home, the children were inside the home unsupervised. They were also locked in the home while we were there unsupervised.
And so the department has concerns about her not completing family-based safety services from 4 years ago.
Yes.
Why did the department not bother to follow up to ensure the children's safety? You've had 4 years.
Can you rephrase that question?
Why did the department drop the ball and not bother to follow up and ensure that the family-based safety services were completed?
They moved to Florida. We don't reach out to families. We're not going to follow up with somebody who moved away if we're not getting an intake on them.
What services have you offered Ms. Marquina recently?
We're here to discuss the services that the department would like to offer.
So what services have you provided to Ms. Marquina recently?
Objection, asked and answered.
I don't believe. Has the department offered any services to Ms. Marquina?
When we got
I'm going to object. That's asked and answered. We are here to
Sustain.
And so there's mental health services that have not been provided, and then drugs that were never found in the home. That's what the department's concerns are.
objection form. She stated the drugs, the report was the drugs were in the home.
Also, Your Honor, asked and answered.
I'll sustain that objection.
Ms. Carnahan, the department doesn't have any concerns about Ms. Marquina's drug use. Isn't that right?
She was drug tested in December and came back negative on a hair follicle.
With Mr. Ayala out of the picture, how does she pose a danger to her children?
Because she said that he was the one doing drugs inside the home around the children, and she allowed him back into the home.
She said that she was smoking, Ms. Carnahan. She did not say that he was smoking marijuana. Isn't that right?
She said that he was smoking in reference to the fact that the home smelled like marijuana.
And there are other explanations than illegal marijuana as far as the smell of marijuana. Is that your understanding?
There is.
Have you heard of legal hemp, Ms. Carnahan?
Okay. When asked about the marijuana, she said that it was his.
Yes or no question. Have you heard of legal hemp?
I'm gonna object. The witness was answering and she was cut off.
Dang.
So there is things like hemp. Miss Marquina said that it was him who was smoking in the home. Above that, when I interviewed Mr. AYALA, he admitted to very serious drug use that he himself has been using, not only marijuana, but other drugs such as methamphetamines.
Are you aware that he hid his drug use from Ms. Marquina?
I apologize, you cut out. What was that?
Are you aware that he hid his drug use from Ms. Marquina?
If the home smelled like marijuana and she said that it was him, he wasn't hiding it from her. She knew.
Are you aware that you can smoke hemp and it has a similar smell to illegal marijuana?
Objection asked and answered.
Dang.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Collins, do you have any questions?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you. So there was an issue raised about a 2016 case that whether parenting classes may have been completed or may not have been completed. You recall that question that was asked of you?
Yes.
Okay. And you're familiar with the parenting classes that CPS would generally ask parents to take in family-based cases?
Yes.
Okay. And so would those classes pertain to awareness of drug use and drug use around the children? Would those classes talk about that type of thing?
Yes, specifically if that was a concern, that is definitely something that would be brought up in class.
And what about domestic violence? Would that be touched on possibly too in parenting classes?
Yes.
So in 2016, there's a good possibility that Mother had classes that covered these topics.
Yes.
And we're here in 2021, and we have these issues still ongoing, correct?
Yes.
There were questions as to the children as whether or not there was any signs of physical abuse or anything. You recall those questions?
Yes.
And those would be concerning to the department, correct? Signs
Yes.
of abuse and stuff. What about the drug use in the house where the children are? Is that concerning to the department as well?
Very concerning.
And why is it concerning that the one or two of the parents may be using drugs in the household or the children? Why is that concerning to the department?
With drugs, you are also going to have neglectful supervision. There's added risk for health issues for the children. Something could happen while a parent is using drugs. The children would be exposed to it. There is a very extensive list of things that could go wrong with drugs in a home with children in it.
Then you were asked some questions about mental health support or offering services to mom in the last month or so. Would that to be able to get those services for mom in the last month or so, would that depend on some sort of cooperation with mom to engage in those services and to be open to doing those services?
It would.
And how would you describe mom's cooperation during this time period that you've been assigned to this case?
In the first month before the second intake came in, Miss Marquina did not seem non-cooperative. I mean, she did take the drug test for me. She let me see the children, everything like that. Her cooperativeness wasn't necessarily the issue before the second intake.
And then is that when the talk of Florida popped up again as we were progressing along?
The talk of Florida has been there since the very first intake. She had a plan from the very get-go that was trying that is where she was trying to get to with the children, because that is where the majority of her support network is.
And would you agree that taking off the Florida, it kind of got rid of the CPS case in 2016? Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So, I mean, does this look like would you agree that this looks like a pattern of behavior?
Yes.
The children are placed with the paternal grandmother and aunt. Are they protective of the children?
Yes.
Does the department have any concerns that if the court grants the services and there'll be some sort of restricted visitation, does the department have any concerns that the grandmother and aunt would be able to be protective and follow those visitation guidelines or orders? Based on what
I don't have concerns for that now.
Okay. And again, department believes it's in the best interest for the children to remain with paternal grandmother and paternal aunt at this time.
Yes.
I have no additional questions, John. I'll pass.
Mr. McDonald, do you have any questions? Mr. Nisenblatt, any further questions?
Yeah, just for clarification, for the second intake in January, was a drug test offered to the mother?
Yes.
And did she take that drug test?
No, she denied. She told me she wanted a court order.
And that second intake corresponded to the drug arrest with Mr. Ayala.
Yes.
And that arrest occurred at the family home.
Yes.
And do you know if the children were present at that time?
According to my report, yes.
No further questions, John.
Do you have any further testimony to present?
Yes, Your Honor. I have
I have a
Officer Sanford.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear the testimony you give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self you got? Okay, you're on mute.
Officer Sanford, are you aware of Gabriela Marquina and Luis Ayala?
Yes, sir.
And how are you aware of this couple?
It started back with the department back in, I believe, November the 21st. I believe a couple officers went out there to respond. I guess the mother or aunt, somebody called, wanted to do a welfare check on her. The officers arrived at the residence on State Highway 21. And then I guess at that time she was reported cutting herself. Officers made contact with her. And then she ended up going to the hospital. She said they were going through issues. They were behind 2 months of rent and so on. So she got transported to the hospital, and Mr. Ayala stayed with the kids. And then I believe at that point, I believe Officer Aline, he reached out to our community resource officer and was stating that Miss Gabriela wanted to.
Yeah, but I object to hearsay.
Overall.
Okay, and regarding the mother, Gabriela?
So she reached out to the department to see if we can help her leave back to Florida because she wanted to be removed from her abusive relationship. So the department reached out and we got some funds together to get her vehicle fixed that was broken down. I believe had a couple issues with it. We got her vehicle fixed. We got it up and running. And then we got her taken care of. We got her gifts for Christmas for the kids and so on. And then I believe we got a call back out there on December 16th. I believe at that time, I believe Gabriela threw something at Mr. Ayala, and he threw something back at her. At the time, I guess the youngest child was in the room at the time of the incident, and the other kids were in the bedroom right next door to the master bedroom.
Okay, and you had mentioned that the department, your department, as opposed to the police department, was helping her go to Florida to escape an abusive relationship. Would that be with Mr. Ayala?
Correct.
Okay.
she wanted to get away from there and try to go back to Florida where she had all her support and her family out there. I believe her grandmother and mother's out there.
And do you believe that she's been cooperative or with the police department in the relation with Mr. Ayala?
Not really. It's kind of whenever it benefits her. Like I said, we told her the day we went out there on December 16th, we actually combined money out of our pocket to give her gas money to get back to Florida. We actually filled her vehicle up. We gave her oil. She said she was going to head back to Florida. She removed basically all the food and gave it to a neighbor. She gathered as much information or clothing and stuff she could, put it in the car, and she said she was going to head to Florida. So we reached out, we got money together to get her gas money to make it to Florida, filled up her tank, and got her oil so she can get back to Florida with her family to be away from that abusive relationship.
And were you involved with this family in January of 2021?
January, was that the day of the arrest? The 18th? Yes.
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 And can you tell the court what occurred on that day?
On the 18th, Officer Barron and I'm training Officer Barron. He was driving down State Highway 21. I observed Mr. Ayala's vehicle parked at the address, the residence. The only reason why I knew what vehicle he drove is because of the incident back in December. She told us what vehicle it was. She actually gave us several different locations where he was throughout the night. I actually stayed late to see if I can find him that night when we went out there in December. So then we drove by, we saw his truck. I drove by, had dispatch run the license plate to make sure it confirmed who it was. I got with my sergeant at the time. I asked him if he can head over to our location because we're going to try to serve this felony warrant for Mr. Ayala.
Okay, so you were serving a felony warrant in January on Mr. Ayala's truck, is that correct?
Yes, so we saw his truck.
And that was at the residence of Miss Gabrielle Marquina?
Right, at 212 East State Highway 21.
And was he present in the home when the warrant was served?
Yes, Officer Barron and Sergeant Hamilton, they knocked on the front door. I went to the back door because I was afraid that if he was going to leave, he was going to exit out the back door. So there was a fence. I jumped on top of the fence, and then Sergeant Hamilton knocked on the door several times. As I was standing on top of the fence, I observed Mr. Ayala exit out the back door. And I gave him commands, and then he turned around and said, "Y'all got me." I asked him to come back to my voice command. He would not come back, so I approached him, and then at that time we handcuffed him.
Okay, and what was the warrant you were serving?
It was a assault, family violence, strangulation against Gabriella. It was out of Travis County.
That's a lie.
Okay, and did you have, and was methamphetamine found on his person?
Yes, so we had to walk back through the residence. Is when I walked through, I saw like some straws that were kind of cut, which is kind of addictive with somebody that inhales narcotics. So we walked through, we got him back in there. He was kind of making a scene with the kids. We got him in the car situated. We pat him down for any weapons and like that, and we seated him in the back car. And then I let him, he wanted me to get the number for Gabriella. I asked Gabriella if she wanted to have him the number. She said yes, so the kids can contact him. So I wrote down the telephone number for him. We proceeded out to the jail. Before we got to the jail, Mr. Ayala said that he had something on him, and we advised him what did he have on him. He said, "Y'all didn't search me right." So when we got to the jail, we ended up having him remove his couple pair of socks on. He had it, methamphetamines were located in, I believe, his right sock leg.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, so did he have possession of this methamphetamine while he was in the home prior to the arrest? Okay.
Yes, because when he exited out of the residence, there was nowhere else for him to go. There was no time for him to put anything else in.
Okay. And just to be clear, Miss Gabrielle Marquina was also in the home at that time.
Yes, along with the kids.
Okay. And the cut straws, which to you indicated possible drug use or drug paraphernalia, they were open and evident when you walked through the home.
Yes.
No, they were in my other shorts in the bottom of my top pants.
And did you have a safety concern for the kids remaining in that home?
I had a safety concern from the kids when Gabriella said that she was leaving for Florida.
All right, hold on a second. Mr. Ayala, if you would like to testify, I will swear you in now, and then the attorneys can ask you any questions. Would you raise your right hand?
Sir.
Do you swear the testimony you give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Misenblatt, do you have any questions for this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Now nobody wants to say nothing to me now.
You don't want to ask him about the drugs and who knew what and where they were? And,
Sure, well, Your Honor, sorry, Your Honor. Yes, I would like to ask him some questions.
Okay.
Mr. Ayala, on the day of your arrest, did you have drugs in your possession?
Not to my knowledge, because the night before I was drinking. I was a little bit drunk, so not to my knowledge of 100% proof. I did not know that I did have it on me at the time until I really woke up, because I was sleeping on my back porch whenever I heard somebody messing with the fence. That's when I stood up from my back porch. I was never inside the residence. I was in the back porch because I had built so I can put a washer and dryer back there.
Okay, so were you allowed on the property by Miss Marquina?
No, I did not, sir. I opened the back fence and I went to do my laundry. I told her, I had asked, can I come and do my laundry? And she said no. So I went through the back fence knowing I have a washer and dryer back there to do my laundry, and I was gonna leave. While my clothes was in the washer, I laid down on the pile of dirty clothes that were there, and I did not realize or recognize that I had fallen asleep until the morning. When the morning came and I heard somebody messing with the fence, and that's when I stood up and I saw the officer Stanford saw him and that's when I saw him standing on top of the fence pointing his gun at me for no reason.
So did you drive your truck to the residence?
No, I did not, sir.
How did your truck get to the residence?
It was me and my cousin had left.
What's your cousin's name?
Omar. He does not live far from there.
What's Omar's last name?
Murillo.
So two men show up in a truck at Gabriella's house and she doesn't know?
Well, of course not if it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right. And did you have methamphetamine? Did you tell the officers you had methamphetamine in your sock?
Once I finally woke up and was inside the jail building already here.
Okay. And did you realize your children were in that home?
No, not that I know of.
So you did not have any interaction with your children at the time of your arrest?
And neither my wife. I had asked the
So hang on. I'm asking you questions.
All right.
So you're blackout that you don't know you have meth until you wake up in the back of a squad car, but then you're telling us you for sure didn't have interactions with your children or your wife.
You're misunderstanding me, sir.
No, I think you're telling us two different stories. Were you blacked out or did you not engage with your children and your wife?
So you're misunderstanding me, sir, because what I'm trying to sit here and tell you is that knowing me that I'm drinking, obviously I'm not going to drive home. So I had asked my cousin that he lives around the corner from.
Objection, non-responsive.
Overruled.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't understand.
Mr. Ayala, you can continue with what you were saying, is what the judge just said.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I just don't really understand this kind of procedures. It's just that I feel like he's really misunderstanding me, and I'm sorry if I'm being misunderstood. But it's I was drinking the night prior. I was drinking. Yes, and it was really late, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I did not know that my wife and my kids were gonna be inside the house. So I didn't bother knocking or going through the house. I went through the back fence to do my laundry. That was it. I was just doing my laundry and going home. I mean, well, going back to where I was camping out at. I have not been home. I've been staying home since I'm a truck. So what I'm trying to sit here and tell you guys is that there was no meth found inside my home. The officer knows also that the straw that he had found on me, it was not found and it was not visualized to him. So I don't know why he is saying that, sir. And
So,
Judge, Your Honor,
Mr. Ayala, if I can ask you, earlier you testified that you asked Ms. Marikina about doing your laundry and she said no, and now you're saying,
that was not
and
prior.
now you're saying that no, she really didn't know. So,
No, it's because you're misunderstanding me, sir.
well, okay, it was your words, but that's fine. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
Mr.
Yeah.
McDonald, do you have any
Hear me
questions for
out.
this witness?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, if I'm being.
Yes, I do have some questions. Mr. Ayala, if you could, or a judge, you would allow him just to continue his narrative. I believe he was trying to clear up some miscommunications that may have been.
I'm going to let you do my question and answer.
All right, Mr. Ayala, were you knew that you were not allowed in the residence, and did you ever go into the residence that your children and your wife are in?
I did not go inside the residence, sir.
And you're saying that the possession of any kind of drugs or drug paraphernalia never actually entered the residence with you, or not by your doing by any way. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, no drugs were found on me inside the house. I had little knowledge of that night because I was drunk. Is there a way that you can come and talk to me after this, attorney?
Sure, I'll come visit you. But I mean, let's just clear up some things real quick so the judge can make his decision. But are you saying that in no way did you enter the home with the drugs without, on your own? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it was not on my own. The cops, they brought me through the house because they couldn't get the back fence open because yes, there was a lock. And I told Mr. Stanford that the way to open the gate, and I'm guessing he didn't hear me, and we walked through the house instead. But I did not know that I had garbage on me.
So what you're testifying is that at no point in time did you bring narcotics or any other drugs into the residence that would have been within reach of your children?
No, the only thing was CBD oil, and they sell that at the gas stations.
Well, but you didn't bring any narcotics or illegal narcotics in through your residence with your children or through your wife's residence. I have another question. How long had it been since you spent the night at that residence?
Since middle of November. After Thanksgiving played. After Thanksgiving, I've been staying in my truck from side road to side road. That's it. I have not been home. I've been having the same drawers for like 3 weeks straight.
Yeah. So you.
That was it.
I understand. So you were never in the home present with the children. You understood you weren't allowed to be in the home. And is that what you're testifying?
Yes.
And any accusation that there were drugs within the home doesn't have anything to do with, is it you're stating is inaccurate. There were no drugs in the home brought in by you. And you say on the night that you were arrested that you didn't come out of the back door. Is that correct?
No, sir. I was laying on top of 30 pound clothes covered up because I was cold.
And you have the laundry room that you were using, or the laundry area you're using, is it located outside on the back porch?
Yes, it is, with the back door locked.
Sure. All right. I just thought, is there anything else? I don't think there's anything else that needs to be cleared up as far as the questioning is concerned. But you're basically, just to clarify everything, you disagree with the fact that there was drug paraphernalia or drugs within your home that were brought there by you, and were not residing in that residence at the time. You unknowingly to your wife used the.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to, I guess, this argument of the summation of the testimony.
Because it's leading.
Yes, well, not, yes, because it's leading, but also because I think it's improper. It's not a question, it's just summation.
I think because that makes it leading, I will sustain the objection.
Mr. Ayala, you weren't residing in the home and you weren't invited to the home when you were doing your laundry in the back. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in no way were you trying to interact with your wife or children when you were coming to do your laundry. Is that correct?
No, sir, because she had told me that if I go there, she's going to call the police. So I just wanted to do my laundry so I can have clean clothes and leave. That was my only thing to do. I didn't knock to try to go inside. I did not say hello to my kids. I didn't do nothing until after the fact that I was already in handcuffs and I was walked through the house with the officer Stanford and the other two cops that were also there with him.
I understand. So you were not a resident of that home and you were deliberately not there because you knew that your wife wasn't allowing you to be there. Is that what you're saying?
I don't understand, sir. I'm just trying to.
I'm going to object to ask and answer.
Yeah, I'll leave it alone. I'll pass the witness if anybody else wants any
Mr.
questions.
Collins, do you have any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. So, Mr. Ayala, I'm just trying to understand that meth was found in your sock, correct?
Yes, in a
Yeah,
public.
wait. Yes or no question. Meth was found in your sock, yes or no?
Can I pass this?
Yep. I'm asking you, was meth found in your sock, yes or no?
In the jail.
Was meth found in your sock, yes or no?
Yes, in the jail.
So how did it get into your sock?
How else?
How did it get into your sock?
Obviously, by me.
Okay. So you put the meth in your sock.
Yes.
Okay. Now earlier you testified that you were so blacked out that you didn't know how it got there. I'm just trying to clarify, were you blacked out that you didn't know how it got there, or you knew how it got there?
No. The thing is that the cop Stanford has said that y'all guys did not search me right, and that was when I was waking up in the back.
That's not the question. I'm trying to clarify that earlier you said
I don't understand.
you know them. Wait, let me finish my question, please, for the court reporter to take it down. I'm trying to just clarify. Earlier you stated that you did not know the meth was in your sock because you were blacked out drunk. And I'm asking you, is that?
My arrest, yes.
What was that?
In the morning of my arrest, yes.
Okay. So you were so blacked out.
I wasn't blacked out.
You didn't know you had meth in your sock, but you were apparently coherent enough that you slept on clothes. You didn't go into the house. You didn't interact with your wife. You didn't interact with your kids. That part you remember pretty well, that you weren't blacked out.
I'm not saying I was blacked out. Where did you get that from? What I'm trying to say is that I was drinking the night before.
Okay, I'm going to move on from the question, Mr. Ayala. So when you contacted your wife about coming to the house, she said no.
Yes, from my text messages.
Okay, why did you go over there when she said no?
I'm on the lead.
So it doesn't matter what she says? You're going to do what you want to do?
I really wish I could.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Mr. Here, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you another question here. It's not speech time, it's question time. So I'm just trying to clear some things up. When you were asked earlier about your truck being at the house, you said that you didn't drive your truck, that your cousin drove it.
Yes.
Did you ride in the truck when your cousin drove it to the house?
When I woke up, yeah. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure that guys also drink, and I'm pretty sure that guys know that, like, if you're sitting there, you're gonna be sleeping and dozing in and out. It was 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, that's enough. I'm sorry, Mr. I'm done questioning. You know, I think I've asked enough. I think we understand enough of it. I'm going to pass.
Mr. Nisenblatt, you were questioning Mr. Sanford. Would you like to continue?
I have one question, Your Honor.
You can call him in your case in chief if you'd like. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Anderson. I did not give you an opportunity at all to question him. So I thought we were back around, and I apologize. You may ask him any questions you'd like.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Ayala, so I know there's been a lot of questions, but just for clarification, during the time that you were living in your truck, did you have permission to be in Ms. Marquina's residence? Did you have permission to stay there or to enter the residence?
I have never asked. I have never asked until I needed clothes on my back clean.
I apologize, I did not hear you. Did you have permission to be in the
Your
home?
Honor, and I don't know, I don't mean to step on Mr. McDonald's toes on this, but I believe that he should be admonished regarding his testimony, because I think he's been admitting to a possible criminal offense when we're talking about permission.
I don't, and many times we will admonish someone, but I don't believe it is required. But Mr. McDonald, if you would like to go in a breakout room or admonish your client on the record about his rights, you may do so.
I'd like that opportunity, please, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll take a short break, and Jennifer, if you could put him in a breakout room.
Talk to your attorney for a sec, because she's gonna want to remove me from this area because of where we're at. I can't walk out of this area, but I'm gonna distance myself so that you can talk to your attorney, so that the attorney-client privilege, right? Is McDonald your attorney? Okay.
I understand what the hell is telling me, but I don't get it. You can't try to tell me the true story and don't want to listen to you. Because it's in green and white.
Hang on one second. All these people, it's the judge sets up the breakout room. It'll be just you and your attorney talking.
I know, but
of 2017 because it was December when it happened.
Okay.
We're back.
Jordan,
Yes,
are
ma'am.
you ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, I'm gonna close all the rooms. I think.
I
Wait.
just come back to main.
Where'd they go? Hold on. Jordan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know where everybody went. Can you see everybody?
No.
I can't see Judge Eskew. I can see Alex. I can't see I can't see you. I can see Christy.
Did I get everybody out of the meeting?
Ms. Marquina is in another room, I think.
Where's the
Can you close all?
Oh yeah, there it is. Holy gosh, I've really been doing a
Holy
bang up.
gosh.
I've been doing a bang up job today. Okay, I'm gonna close all the rooms. Everybody's gonna come back.
Okay.
I don't even know how I did that, and that scared me to death. Okay, everybody's gonna be booted back in 49 seconds.
All right. It's all work in progress. It'll work out.
I'd like to welcome everyone back.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
That was an unexpected breakout room venture. I'm not sure where everybody went, but the judge is going to come back momentarily. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. McDonald.
We can resume when we must, but I would just like to say that my client has already agreed the department can have temporary managing conservatorship over the children so that they can limit the questioning to maybe the arguments over that night. That would be helpful instead of entering into anything else, because he is.
So if he's willing to continue to answer questions at all, then you'll need to object at each question. And we can't predefine what can and can't be asked.
Sure.
So in a civil case, when relying on your criminal right to remain silent, you will have to object on every question.
I understand, Your Honor.
Okay.
Mr.
Collins, so he is willing to continue answering questions?
He is, just for clarification if necessary for anybody.
Yeah, and Judge, I was working on. I only have one question for Mr. Ayala.
Okay.
Mr. Ayala, during the time that you were living in your truck, did you have permission to be in the home?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, no further questions.
Okay. Mr. Nizenblatt, do you want to continue questioning Mr. Sanford?
Just a few more questions. Officer Sanford,
Yes, sir.
with your interactions with Miss Marikina in the last few months, do you believe that she was trying to stay away from him?
No, because we kind of gave her out to get to Florida. We gave her money. We filled up her gas tank. We gave her oil. We even tried to follow up with her, and I believe she said she broke down in Houston. Her car broke down, and she was not able to get to Florida. And then I believe our community resource officer reached out to her to see the status, make sure everything was going good for their trip. And then we ended up driving by 21. We saw her vehicle parked at the yard of the residence.
And does the police department believe that there are drugs in that house?
Do we believe that drugs were in the house?
Yeah,
besides the
speculation, Your Honor.
Overruled.
You can go ahead and answer.
Besides the time that we made the contact over there originally from when we smelled marijuana, and then the time that we had contact on the methamphetamines, but other than that, no, we didn't get any information of that.
And both the time with the marijuana and the time with the methamphetamine, Miss Marikina was also in the house.
Yes.
Pass this witness.
Mr. Anderson, do you have any questions of this witness?
Just a few, Your Honor. And it's Officer Sanford, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Whenever the night of the incident, it was at 4 o'clock in the morning, correct?
Say that again.
The night of the incident in January, it was at 4 o'clock in the morning whenever you got to the residence.
No, it was at 7, I believe 7:49 or so for the warrant arrest.
Yes, sir.
Yes, that was at 7:49 in the morning.
Okay. And were you the officer that first saw Mr. Ayala?
Correct.
Okay, and you saw him around the back porch?
Coming out of the breezeway of the back door, yes.
And it's your test. So what was the timeline in between you being aware that Ms. Marikina's car broke down in Houston and you seeing her vehicle?
That we seen it over there?
Yes, sir.
So officers, so we were patrolling that area just to see, because we knew he had an active warrant because Gabriella told us he had an active warrant and he was a known drug use. So we were patrolling that area to see if we were able to locate his vehicle. So we thought she was already in Houston. Some officers drove by and they saw her vehicle parked at the residence. I don't think any contact was made with her at that point, but they saw the residence. And then on that day of the January 18th is when we drove by, we saw her vehicle and his vehicle parked in the driveway of the residence.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. McDonald, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Collins?
I have no additional questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Nizenblatt, any further testimony?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Anderson, do you have any testimony?
I do, Your Honor. I actually have one.
Excuse me, Mr. Anderson. If no one has any other, if no other party is going to call these officers, if we can release them.
Yeah, I actually have a question for Officer Sanford, Your Honor.
Okay.
I have one more question. So Officer Sanford, you saw Mr. Ayala walk out the back porch.
Right. So there's a back door there's a back door in the breezeway area. I saw him exit out with the breeze from where the location I was. He exited out of the back of the breeze door. I believe Sergeant Hamilton knocked on the front door. I believe Gabriella opened the front door. Sergeant Hamilton asked Gabriella where Lewis was, and she pointed towards that way, towards where I was already making contact with Luis.
Okay, yeah. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Anyone else have any further questions for this officer?
No, Your Honor.
No.
Any objections to his being excused?
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, you are free to go. It's up to you. You may stay or go. It's your choice.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the request also goes for an Officer Barron.
Okay. Same. Well, let me ask, is there any objection to that?
No objection.
Okay, he is excused as well.
No objection.
Okay. Mr. Anderson, do you have any other testimony to present?
Yes, Your Honor. I call Gabriella Marquina.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self you got?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Marquina, how old are you?
22.
And how long were you in a relationship with Luis Ayala?
On and off, almost 8 years.
So how old were you whenever you started your relationship with him?
I was 15 years old.
And is he the father of your children?
Yes.
Did he become physically and emotionally abusive to you?
Yes.
How so?
He does a lot of like, one minute he loves me, next minute he don't know what he wants. He's done like he wants to be home one minute and then he don't want to be home. A lot of confusion.
Has he been physically abusive towards you?
Yes, he's hit me.
When was the last time he struck you?
Back in December.
Were you financially
when he threw
dependent?
something. At the time,
apologize,
yes.
repeat that.
Back in December was the last time when he threw something at me.
Were you financially dependent on him?
At the time, yes.
Why are you no longer dependent on him financially?
Because I work now.
Okay, and where do you work?
I work at a breadbasket,
And what do you do
which
there?
is a Chevron gas station. I'm a cashier.
And how long have you had that job?
Over a month now.
Have you ever been arrested?
No, I have not.
Are you aware of the allegations of the incident where you were accused of throwing a box of crayons and he is accused of throwing a plastic container at you?
Yes, I'm aware, but I threw it behind me, did not know he was there. It wasn't on purpose.
Do you believe that the incident occurred on December 16th?
I'm not sure. Multiple dates are being told, 16, 17, and 18 are being brought up. So one of those days, yes.
Okay. And did any of your children witness the incident?
No, they were all in their room watching TV. None of them were in their room.
Did Luis or Mr. Ayala, did he move out of the residence
Yes.
at some point after that incident?
It was actually before. He had all his clothes in his truck. He told me he was leaving, and then that was that. I mean, other than that, he came that night, and I told him to just go ahead and go. So he started finishing up getting his things, and then that's when that happened.
Did you want him to move out of the residence?
Yes, because I got fed up of the point where I'm tired. People get tired over time. And I guess I've grown up to where I actually do understand. I'm going to be 23 years this year. So I really do want the best for me and my kids. And I really do. I want to leave. But the alternator went and the battery went. and I have receipts to prove that I purchased them.
Do you believe that it's better for your children for Mr. Ayala to not live at your residence with your kids?
Yes, until he receives his help he needs, then until then I don't want him there.
Do you know where Mr. Ayala was residing after he
No.
moved out of your residence?
No, I don't. Also know is that he was in his truck. That's all I know. Honestly, I really have not spoke to him when he was gone.
Did you attempt to move to Florida in December?
Yes, I
Why?
did attempt because I
Why?
want to get away. I want to get away from all of this problems. I'm tired. My whole life's, I had kids young, so obviously I'm gonna have problems, and I'm trying to better myself as well.
Was part of the reason for your desire to move to Florida was to create separation between you and Mr. Ayala?
Yes,
Do you have family in Florida?
I have every one of my family in Florida. I don't have nobody here, and that's the reason why I always want to go back to Florida, because I don't have nobody here, so I feel alone here. That's the reason why I want to go back. I don't want to be here by myself and have nobody to talk to. Nobody, you understand? Like,
And why did you not make it to Florida?
because the car, it kept dying and dying and dying. And so I had tried somebody to jump me, and it turned on, and then like it turned off, like it started shaking and it turned off again. So I had to jump me, and I was like, you know what? It's not going to stay running. It's not going to keep going. I might as well just turn back around to the house because it's the closest one, rather than go to Florida and then make it not make it halfway,
Would you like to eventually be able to move to Florida so that you can be
Yes,
with
I
your support
do.
network? Okay.
Yes, I do want to go back.
There's an allegation that Mr. Ayala was smoking marijuana in the house. Are you
No.
aware of that?
It's not marijuana. I said he smokes. He used to vape, and he used to buy the stuff that they sell right here next to Walmart. There's a smoke shop. They have, it's the female flower that looks exactly like marijuana.
Is that what he explained to you?
What do you mean?
As far as what he was smoking, did you? So
That I'm
did he
aware of.
explain?
That I'm aware of. Yes, that's what it was. That I'm aware of.
If Mr. Ayala was smoking marijuana, would you allow him to be around your children?
No.
Would you allow Mr. Ayala to smoke marijuana in your home?
Definitely not. I mean, I thought the stuff was. Excuse me. I thought the stuff was legal because they do sell it in the store. So I thought that, okay, that's what it is,
Have you asked? I apologize for interrupting you, but have you asked Mr. Ayala if he's done drugs before?
Multiple times while I was pregnant with the baby. I accused him of doing drugs because how skinny he was getting. He told me that it was from sweating so much because he used to work in a shop.
Has he ever admitted to drug use?
No, he has not. And he always hid it from me. That's what it hurts me. It really does hurt me a lot.
Are you okay with Mr. Ayala using any kind of drug?
No.
Do you believe it's okay for drug users to be around your children?
No.
Are you comfortable with Mr. Ayala being around your children at this present time?
Not until he receives help he needs, because he does need help.
Do you do drugs?
No, sir.
Did you take a hair follicle test?
Yes. I just took one in December.
Do you know if you tested positive for anything?
No, I was told I was negative, which I was hoping I'm negative because I have not done nothing.
Are you willing to take, if the department requested for you to take a hair follicle test or urinalysis or any kind of type of test, are you willing to go and take a test today?
Yes, I'll go right now after we leave here.
Are you willing to take any kind of class that the department requests?
Yes, any classes, anything I will do.
Are you interested in participating in counseling?
So this is a thing I've always discussed with Luis. I told him I need counseling for myself and for us as well. But I feel like he never wanted to do it. But I need counseling due to my past before him and my present now.
Are you in a relationship with Mr. Ayala?
Not at the moment.
When did you end your relationship with him?
I honestly don't know. It's been really rocky lately, but I figured when he started to leave and move out.
And do you want to be in a relationship with him?
Whenever he does seek his help and can prove to me that he's been sober and can be sober when he's out, I want him to get better himself, you know?
Do you believe that Mr. Ayala should be able to spend time with his children unsupervised at this point?
At this point, no.
And how many children do you have?
I have 4.
And how old are they?
8 months, 3, 5, and 6.
Do you have any concerns about your children's well-being with them not being able to live with you?
So I know for a fact my kids, they want to come home because they miss me. They never been without me.
Are you especially concerned about emotional distress that your 8-month-old might be going through, not being with you right now?
I know he does. The time I did see them last week on Tuesday, he just looked at me like confused.
I don't have any further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Nisenblatt, do you have any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Marikina, is it your understanding that Mr. Ayala was arrested for a felony warrant for assault, family violence, strangulation?
Yes, he violated probation. And the Bastrop County Police Department knew that back in October. I didn't tell them, they knew that.
Do you know why he was on probation?
For the 2016 case.
And what was the 2016 case?
You just said it. When we got into it for the, it was a family violence.
Okay, so the assault, family violence warrant was out of Travis County, is that right?
Correct.
And were you the victim?
Yes.
And you've continued to be in a relationship with Mr. Ayala. Is that correct?
So, yes and no.
No, it was a yes or no. No, you continued from
Okay.
2000.
Objection argumentative,
yes.
Your Honor.
From 2016 to present, you continue to be in a relationship with him.
Yes.
And he was in your home on January of 2021 when the warrant was executed.
He was not inside the home. No, he was not.
He was on your property.
Okay. That's not
correct?
inside my home.
Is that correct?
He was on the back porch.
Okay. And the testimony from the officer was that when you were asked at the front door where Mr. Ayala was, you pointed to the back.
Yes, sir, because I was just waking up. And
You were aware that he was on your property.
Due to the cops yelling, yes.
Right. And you pointed to the back.
Correct, because I heard them back there.
So at near 8 o'clock in the morning,
When I was sleeping,
when you answered the front door, you pointed to the back of the home when asked, "Where's Mr. Ayala?"
Correct, because I heard them.
And before his felony arrest for the assault, family violence in January, were you aware that Mr. Ayala had used or been using drugs?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay. So you have no way of knowing if somebody is using drugs or is high?
How can I if I barely saw him? I don't know what he
What's
does.
the current status? What's the current status of the Travis County assault family violence case?
I'm not sure. I know as much as you do.
Well, you're the victim in that case, correct?
So I've been dismissed from that
This is
case.
a speculation, Judge. I mean, that she's.
Sustained.
She's the victim in the, what, I don't know what he's objecting to, which question. Can we get clarification?
Well, asking for the status of the Travis County case that she really has no like direct involvement with. Speculation.
Your Honor, I believe she's the victim of that case.
Okay.
But I don't know nothing about that
hold on.
case.
Okay, but it has been asked and answered, and anything beyond that is speculation and emphasis.
Okay. And you understand what the department's asking today is to actually get you the help that they tried to get you in 2016?
So what help was that?
Do you understand that the department is trying to get you the counseling, the parenting classes, and other services that they tried to give you in 2016?
They didn't try to give me. I did them and completed them. And a domestic violence.
So and obviously we're here again today because of those same issues. Is that correct?
I guess so.
And the officer testified earlier that he smelled marijuana in the home. Did you hear that testimony?
Yes, I did.
And you testified that I think the word you use is as far as you were aware. So you're not 100% sure it wasn't marijuana.
No, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not.
Okay, that's fine. So the officer smelled marijuana. You're not 100% sure it wasn't marijuana.
All I know about is the stuff he would buy.
And have there been multiple incidents of domestic violence with Mr. Ayala?
I would say there was about these couple of times, this time and the last time.
So yes, there's been multiple incidents of domestic violence with Mr. Ayala. That's accurate, right?
Huh?
That would be accurate. There's been multiple incidents of domestic violence with Mr. Ayala.
Yes.
No further questions.
Mr. McDonald, do you have any questions?
I do have a few questions. I just want to know, Ms. Marquina, is your current intention, if the department were to not take custody of your children, to move back to Florida with your children, or are you wanting to take care of counseling and things like that are offered by the county?
Yes, I'll accept them because I don't have the funds right now.
Okay. Are you still in communication with Mr. Ayala? Does he make jail phone calls?
Yes.
How often do you communicate with him?
It depends whenever he calls. Like there could be days I can go without talking, or there could be a day. It just depends. It's hard because my work schedule.
Would you like to continue to have if Mr. Ayala does complete all the services and get all the help he needs, would you like him to remain the father of the children?
I mean, I'm not going to stop a father from trying to be a father after he completes and can prove that he can be good without drugs.
Sure.
Because I grew up without father and mother, and he grew up without father. So I think that's the reason why I always stick.
So would you be willing to do the same classes, and go through this with them and both prove yourselves over a year or so with the department taking custody, and then y'all can maybe, if the services work, and re-enter your relationship with them? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That's really all I have to ask. If you're willing to, that's it. No further questions.
Okay. Mr. Collins?
Thank you, Your Honor. So ma'am, you said that you completed a domestic violence class back in 2016 when you did these services. Did I hear you correctly?
I completed that, and I completed, I think, six
Oh,
or eight.
wait. I'm just asking, you completed domestic violence class, correct?
Yes.
And then, but in 2021, we're still dealing with domestic violence, things being thrown around the house, fights, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you talked about before about how stressful it is for the children and for being out of the house. Do you believe it's stressful for the children to be in a house where things are being thrown and where the parents are arguing with each other? Would you agree that that's stressful for children?
It's not a constant
It's a
thing.
yes or no question, ma'am. Do you believe
It's not
that
a
it's
constant thing.
stressful?
It's not a constant thing.
But when it happens, do you believe that's stressful for the children?
Well, if they don't see it, then I don't think it's stressful.
What if they hear it? Do you think it's stressful if they hear it? It's a yes or no question, ma'am. Do you think it's stressful to children to hear their parents fighting and things being
Yes.
thrown?
Yes, I've been through this too. Yes.
Okay. And do you think it's stressful for the children when the police get called out and the police are running through the house? Do you think that's stressful for the children?
Yeah, but they had the option to go through the back gate. They didn't.
So I'm just trying to figure out, I mean, do you take any responsibility in these, or it's the cops coming through the house? It's the husband doing the dope that you don't know about. Do you take any responsibility in this?
Why would I take responsibility for a grown man doing drugs?
You're allowing him in the house, correct?
I did not allow him in the house.
Okay, so when Adabella states that daddy has been sleeping in the home around January, January 22nd, that Adabella states that Mr. Ayala, daddy has been sleeping at the home. Is she lying or is she mistaken? What's the situation there with that?
Yeah,
I think they're confused.
Objection speculation about the child's mental thought process.
Overall.
So what if your daughter is stating that daddy is sleeping at the home? Is she mistaken? Is she lying?
I think they're confused.
No. Okay.
Objection sidebar.
Sustained.
I have nothing further for this witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Anderson, do you have any further questions?
I do, Your Honor. How old is what is her name? I apologize.
Adabella.
Adabella. How old is she?
She's 6 years old.
Does she have a good concept of the sequence of events and like kind of like in time as far as how many days go as far as yesterday and tomorrow?
No,
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation, and this witness isn't qualified to testify as to
she appeared to be
child's development.
Oh, stop, everybody! Don't talk over each other. It is overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. Does Isabella have an understanding as far as what yesterday really means?
No, she does not.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to that speculation.
Overruled.
I'm saying is she does not know about yesterday or today or tomorrow. She still has a problem with that. Her teacher will even tell you if you need to go ask her.
And whenever she was questioned, it wasn't that far off that her father had been living with her since her first memories. Is that right?
Exactly. They're confused and they question all the kids. They're confused. They don't understand what's going on.
Okay. No further questions.
Mr. Anderson, do you have any further testimony to present?
I do, Your Honor. And I apologize about earlier. I would like to call Deborah Breasures, Your Honor. And if one moment, she's going to use your phone.
Yeah, my phone's
So if you could come over here.
it's on 15%. So.
Okay, yeah, and I apologize, Judge. It's gonna take about 1 minute. She's on crutches and she's gonna have to leave my office because of the audio. Or actually, I can go over there. I'll ask you. And you can wait in here if you want to sit over.
Okay. show you. To show you. No, let's just show right there. You're right on the bottom. As long as I can see you.
Ms. Breasures, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Are you currently retired?
Yes, sir.
And what did you do for a living before you retired?
I was a child care provider,
And how long were you a child care provider?
44 years.
And what different places did you work during those 44 years?
I was several years up until 1996 in Kansas as kitty care daycare, 1, 2, and 3, director of three different daycares. When I moved to Texas, I licensed and became a child care provider of a licensed home. And then I became director of Village Kids Daycare for a year over in Tahitian Village. And then I went back to my house and I was licensed and I dropped down to registered when to just like 3 kids because on crutches, it seemed more difficult to work with a group of 10.
And how long have you been Gabriela Marquina's landlord?
About 15, 16 months.
And how has she been as a tenant?
She's been excellent. They're very respectful. She's very respectful to me. We spend a lot of time out on the front porch with the children. Our association is almost on a daily basis.
How often do you observe her with her children?
On practically a daily basis.
What kind of activities do you all do together?
Oh, well, we play games. The kids swim in the swimming pool out front when the weather was nice. They come over and watch movies on my TV, and I have still my daycare toys and games and puzzles and things. And sometimes we go out to eat together. We spent a lot of time together.
And how is Ms. Marquina as a mother?
She's excellent. She's very patient with her children. She talks to them. She does not yell at them. She listens to them when they have something to say.
Did Mr. Ayala used to live on the property?
Yes, he did.
And when did you notice that he was no longer living on the property?
Well, she had told me that he was packing up and leaving. And I don't give you the exact date. I know it was before Christmas, long before Christmas, that he was packing up his clothes and leaving. And he had been gone previous to that for a short spell.
And how could you tell that he was no longer living there?
Because he was nowhere around. It was just her, me, and the kids.
Could Mr. Ayala live there without you knowing?
No, the walls are too thin. You can hear. I can sit at my desk, which is probably 20 feet from the wall between her side and my side. And I can hear everything perfect, word for word, everything that's going on. They can hear everything on my side too.
Have you ever heard Ms. Marquina or Mr. Ayala yell or scream at one another?
No, they've had some discussions that I've heard where they disagreed with each other, but the confrontation was never taken to a point of yelling and screaming. The only yelling and screaming I've heard was like the kids playing.
Have you ever witnessed any kind of physical confrontation or altercation between Mr. Ayala or Ms. Marquina?
No, the only thing that I know of is the one that she told me about the crayons and the little plastic cup he had from the bathroom. But I wasn't present on the premises when it happened.
Have you ever had concerns for the children's safety?
No.
While they're in Ms. Marquina's
the children
care?
are very, I'm sorry.
While the children are in Ms. McKeena's care, have you ever had any concerns about their safety?
No. They're always well fed. They're clean. They play. They're happy. You know, they're fed. I mean, everything. They're just like a normal kid, and she takes good care of them.
If you ever became concerned about their safety, what steps would you take?
No, just bits and pieces of stuff that I'm hearing right now, and the fact that CPS, pardon?
I don't think you heard me, or I didn't say it correctly. Let me try that again. If you became concerned about the children's safety, what steps would you take to protect them?
Oh, I would definitely step in. I would call the police or call CPS or whatever if it required that.
Will you describe the back porch that has the washer and dryer?
Yes, sir. The exact establishment of the house, you go out a door and the washer and dryer are on the back porch. And then there's a screen door that goes off of the back porch out into the yard. It's nothing but a screened in porch.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Nissenbach, do you have any questions of this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Shears, you said you had years and years of licensing in childcare. Is that correct?
How many years did you say?
No, years and years.
Yes, sir.
I didn't remember. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And based on what you've heard today regarding some of the testimony, do you have some concerns for the safety of these children?
For the safety of the children with their mother, no.
No. I didn't say with the mother. I said safety of the children based on some of the things you've heard today.
What do you want me to say? I don't understand what you're asking.
Based on the testimony that the father had drugs, that there was a felony warrant for family violence, strangulation, where the mother's the victim, where there has been multiple incidents of domestic violence in the home. Does that give you some concern for safety of the children?
Well, the concern that lies with me are the two things that I've heard
That's not,
today.
Ms. Brashear, just if you would just please answer the question I'm asking, would that give you some concern?
If you're wanting me to say yes in regards to the two things I heard today.
Okay. And you testified that you were not present on the property during the item throwing incident. It was told to you.
On the what items?
The items, the crayons, or the.
No, sir, I was not there that night when that happened.
Okay. So you only know that because somebody told you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So you don't know the degree of that argument.
No, sir, I do not.
And would it be safe to say that you're not there all the time?
I can't be there all the time.
And earlier we had testimony that the police have been over at that residence several times. Does that give you some concern that the police are showing up at that residence?
Well, there was always an explanation, and when you say several, it was only 2 times that the police were there.
And did that give you concern?
I asked questions to find out. Yes, I did. I was concerned and I got answers.
And did any of those answers give you concern?
Not when it was explained to me, no.
And regarding the home, there's a screen door going from the home onto to the porch, which is the back porch, correct?
There's a door, not a screen door. It's just a door, and it pulls to the inside. It doesn't pull to the outside. It could not have been seen from the outside. If it had been opened, no one would have seen it. You only see the screen door going off the porch.
So you can't see through the screen?
I did not say that.
Well, you said you can't see the door. You can't see the door.
There is no screen door coming out of the house. The door that comes out of the house pulls to the inside. It does not swing out like the officer said.
Can you see the door from the house to the back porch?
You can see the door from the porch, but not from the fence line.
But if you're in the backyard over the fence, can you see that door?
You can see the screen door.
But you can't see through the screen. Is that what you're testifying to?
You could possibly see through the screen if you're at a certain angle, but you're asking me for, and I can't say yes to every angle because it wouldn't be valid. It would be an invalid answer.
Right. So, okay. So at certain angles, you can see from the backyard through the screen to the back door of the house.
Yes, but not
Certain
from the
angles.
angle, but not from where the officer said he was.
Interesting that you would just throw that in. I didn't ask that, but thank you.
Yeah, sidebar objection, Your Honor.
Same.
Did you hear Mr. Ayala arrive at the home in January of 2021?
No, sir. I had not gone to bed until 1 o'clock in the morning. I was sound out until I didn't even hear the police officers arrest him. I woke up about 8:30 after it all happened.
Okay. And but yet you said that the walls are so thin you pretty much hear everything?
Not when I'm asleep. I sleep very sound.
And this all occurred around 8 in the morning.
No, I'm not sure. I woke up about 8:30 and it was all already over.
Okay. No further questions.
Yes, sir.
Mr. McDonald, do you have any questions?
You're on mute, Mr. McDonald.
Thank you. Just a few questions. What was your name, ma'am? I'm sorry, I don't want to miss.
My name is Deborah Breschers.
All right, Miss Bushers. What you're saying is that about the back porch area where there's a screen door that you can enter from that leads off of the porch, and the porch is essentially a screened in porch with the laundry machine on. Is that what I understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that makes sense to me now. Clears up a little bit. Okay. And then also, have you ever known the mother of these children to leave them alone for any periods of time, or not have someone physically in the same house as them? Did you hear anything like that today, or have you ever witnessed that in the past?
She has never left the children unattended other than things like maybe take the trash to the road, get
Sure.
something out of the car. You know, she's always close enough.
Sure, short periods of time. Okay.
Yes.
Do you think it'd be in the best interest of these children that these parents both do some counseling of some kind?
I believe that is very important for both of them.
While Mr. Ayala was living in the residence before everyone was aware of the fact that he had a felony warrant, was he an okay or the same kind of tenant like as you were dealing with the mother? Mrs.
Yes, he was very respectful.
Would it be your opinion that it's probably in the best interest of the children that after counseling and maybe going through it, if it takes a year even, that the parents reunite and raise these children together? Are they capable of doing that?
Sir, I don't think it's fair for me to speculate on that.
Okay.
I do believe that it would be good for the children to be back with their mother, if that's one thing you're asking for right now. But whatever counseling and things that are required of the father, since he has been doing drugs, and I was sworn to that he wasn't, it tells me he needs more counseling and he does need help.
Sure. And you think the mother would benefit from some counseling as well, or anything like that?
I think it'd be wonderful if she got counseling. She's been through a lot recently.
And you think it'd be in the best interest of the child that they remain in the custody of someone else until she gets said counseling?
No, because I believe that part of her anxiety is the fact that she is separated from her children and she worries about them.
So is your opinion she didn't need counseling until after this incident, or she needed counseling before this incident as well, or did she benefit from?
It'd be hard for me to speculate on that because before this incident, everything was fine.
Right.
She's been very upset during all of this with her children being separated from her.
So you're saying she just needs counseling for this recent disturbance in her life, or
Well, if she chooses to say she needs counseling for something in the past, that's up to her. I don't have a lot of knowledge to that. But what I do have knowledge of is what has just happened recently and how it has upset her.
Okay. I think it'd be in the best interest of the children that if the parents go through similar counseling, even if maybe not the mother needs to take drug counseling, but parenting classes and things like that, considering they're young parents.
I think that's the same question you just asked me, and I did answer that.
So yes, you believe that is what I was saying. Similar counseling.
That on the other side of visitations and your neighbors and stuff. Just let them keep down. I got a court session in process right now.
Oh, I was talking right now, but I can't.
Mr. McDonald, do you have any further questions of this witness?
No, not really. No, I'm done with her. Thank you.
Mr. Collins, do you have any questions?
I have no additional questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Anderson, do you have any further testimony to present?
I just have one question, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Braziers, can you commit to informing the department or CPS if Mr. Ayala if you caught Mr. Ayala trying to return to the residence?
Yes, I would.
And are you willing to and are you willing to be extra vigilant to perhaps provide some additional supervision, or just to be slightly more present or engaged with the?
I'm sorry, can you start over with that question? I didn't catch the first of your question.
I'd be happy to. Excuse me. Yeah. So, are you willing to engage and with the children and be a little bit more proactive temporarily while Ms. Marquina receives services to address any
Yes,
safety
I
issues?
sure would. Yes, I would.
No further questions.
Do you have
Your
any
Honor.
further testimony to present?
Your Honor, I have some, if I can
You
ask
can do
follow-up
that.
questions.
You can do that if you would like to put on any rebuttal testimony. Mr. Anderson, do you have any additional?
I'm not, Your Honor. No,
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Casa?
Yes, Casa, the children are adjusting okay with their aunt and their grandma. They appear to be doing okay. They appear to be comfortable with them. Casa would like them to remain with their aunt and grandma. Casa feels that it is in the best interest of the children and the department to be named TMC of the children. It sounds like both parents need a lot of help and services, and this would be the best way for them to get it and make sure the children remain safe while doing that. So CASA feels that TMC to the department would be in the children's best interest.
Mr. Nizenblatt, do you have any questions for CASA?
Oh, no, not for CASA.
Mr. Anderson, do you have any questions for CASA?
No, sir.
Mr. McDonald, do you have any questions for CASA?
Just to clarify, no, actually, no, I don't. I think it was all answered there. I'm fine. No questions.
Mr. Collins, do you have any questions for CASA?
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Nizenblatt, did you have any testimony you wanted to present for rebuttal?
Yeah, for Ms. Brashears.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are you related to Christopher Snell?
Yes, sir.
And were kids, was a child drug tested positive after having been in your home?
That was proven to be a false drug test.
But the answer was there a positive drug test on that child?
And it was also said that it was actually negative. They had given somebody else's drug test on his.
And how are you related to Mr. Snow?
I'm his mother.
And do you have any documentation showing about regarding that drug test?
Yes, it was in the redacted records. It showed that it was it was either 7 or 9 people before my grandson was tested that they had put the wrong number on his drug test, and it was hers. It wasn't his. It was a lady's positive reading. And that was brought to the attention of CPS, and nothing
And
was
did
ever done about it.
and did they suspend your license when that occurred?
They shut me down for 5 years because they said they couldn't trust whether I would allow Christopher to live in my home.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson, do you have any further questions?
No, sir, I do not.
Mr. McDonald, do you? Mr. Collins?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Any additional testimony, Mr. Nisenblatt?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, would you like to make a brief closing?
Yes, Your Honor. The department is seeking the temporary management conservatorship of these children because we believe that they have been exposed to adverse child experiences through the repeated domestic violence. It has been ongoing from 2016. The mother disappeared, didn't complete services. She came back to Texas, and we again have repeated law enforcement involvements, repeated domestic violence. The issues are still present and active. We believe it's in the best interest of these children to continue placement with their aunt, and that the department be granted temporary managing conservatorship so that we can provide full services to these parents in the hope of alleviating these repeated safety concerns. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Anderson?
Thank you, Judge. This is a good situation where it really calls for a middle ground in between family-based safety services and temporary management conservatorship. I think granting TMC to the department is very serious. I think it's very clear that the source of really these concerns is Mr. Ayala. He's the one that has had the warrant out for his arrest because of felony, violation of conditions of his felony probation. He's the one that had the methamphetamine, that possibly was smoking the marijuana. Ms. Marquina, wanted for him to be truthful to her. She met him whenever she was very young. They're very young, Your Honor. She wants to believe him, and you want to believe the person you love and the father of your children is telling you the truth. She realizes that it's very clear that he was lying to her. So she passed the hair follicle test. She doesn't do drugs. There isn't any meaningful safety concerns about the children being in her care whenever he's not around. She is not in a relationship with him. She does not want to be with him, and until at some point, if it ever happens, that he demonstrates a positive track record of sobriety and rehabilitation. She was never offered services. She was never offered mental health service. She is fully committed to engage in counseling and take advantage of any services that the department is requesting. She has a lady that she shares a 4-bedroom house with a lady that was a child care provider for 44 years. And that was a director that owned her own business, that worked in multiple locations. And so you couldn't really ask for to have a better, someone to be supportive that is not actual family, to be there with you and to support you. And so she is willing and able to provide for her children's safety. Clearly, Mr. Ayala is with where we are now is not capable of doing that at this time. And Judge, I hope that a less severe alternative to temporary management conservatorship is the outcome, because she's willing to engage in services, and it can be ordered that she engage in services. It can be ordered that she does not allow for Mr. Ayala to have contact with the children except, as, for example, supervised access at the CPS office to start things off. And if she fails to comply, which I'm confident that she won't, it can be brought back before the court, and the case can be escalated.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes, I just think that considering the circumstances of the entirety of this case, that it'd be beneficial for both parents to step back and have a reevaluation. I mean, Ms. Marquina expressed a little bit that she would be willing to go through services and everything to almost equivalent or even up to a year, that the same, just as long as a TMC typically lasts, and go back and allow the father of the child back into their lives, as long as he can do the same. So I just ask that, considering his circumstances, and they both are, it's not an ideal situation for the children to be with the mother alone or with the father alone at this period in time. And I think that temporary managing conservatorship is the best option, considering, I don't know if they're in a safe environment now, and she can, they may be on different plans, and it may take different amounts of times for each one of the parents to get the position where they're allowed back to having custody of some kind. But I think they should be given the same constructs or similar, at least, if she's allowed to have if temporary managing conservatorship isn't granted to someone else, then she could run to Florida again, or things like that. And I think this is another disruption or distraction from the fact that there is a necessity for monitored and conditioned classes and everything else that both of these parents would benefit from. It's not really a punishment to anybody so much as it is trying to just get everybody what they need to be better parents, and to have the children be in a stable home and be in a safe environment while they get that. I just don't want that. He wants him to come back into their lives, if he's willing to allow, so long as he does the classes. I think it would be best for them both to go through all sorts of counseling and everything else, and that not just be the court ordered ones, that if she were to run away again or anything like that, like what happened in Travis County, like they both knew what had happened in Travis County in 2016. The warrant, I don't know how long it existed for, but she continues to live with him. She talks to him on the phone while he's in jail. I think he's going to continue to be a part of the life of the children. And if he's going to go through all of everything he can do to prove that he's going to be a good parent, and he's willing to do it, that I think that there's no harm, and there's only benefits to allowing temporary management conservatorship to the department while they both go through these services. It would be in the best interest of the children, in my opinion, as CPS had stated.
Mr. Collins?
Thank you, Your Honor. I concur with the state, Your Honor, and what was laid out. The issues I have here is it's Groundhog Day. We keep going through these same things, and we keep having talk of running off to Florida and then coming back, and the same issues are there, and the issues aren't getting taken care of. And now that I'm on this case, I have 4 young children. Who the mom testified, the 6-year-old doesn't know one day from the other and needs help and all this stuff. I got the defenseless children being put in the same loop of domestic violence and conflict and drug use. And if it gets bad enough, to run off to Florida, and then to come back, and it's going on and on again. And Your Honor, what I always want with these cases is I want to do these cases so they're done right, so that way it doesn't come back. I want to stop the cycle. I want the TMC grant. I would request TMC to be granted to the state, allow us to get these parents past what the situation that they're in, that they can't seem to do it on their own. And that way, once we're all out of their lives, we are all gone, and they are in a better place, and the children are in a better place. I don't think it's been shown that the parents can do it on their own. Based on what we've seen before. Again, if we've got a 2016 where mom says she did a domestic violence class, we're still got domestic violence issues going on. We've still got fights and things being thrown, whether they're crowns or whatnot. Things are still being thrown, and the children are there in that house, and it's just not in their best interest. So I'm asking the court to grant the TMC to the department.
Okay. So let me begin. Mr. Ayala had agreed to the proposition of the department becoming the temporary managed conservator, what the placement would be. So that really is somewhat of a non-issue. The whole issue then became mom's position that temporary managing conservatorship wasn't necessary. In other words, saying that she could continue, she could do all the same services with the children in the home. The question is not whether or not she does drugs, not whether or not she watches them at all times, but whether or not she protects them from the allegations made against dad. Is she protected? When we're viewing something about protectiveness, we need to have certain understanding. One is that the allegations of violence don't happen every day. We've never seen a family violence case where someone commits that family violence every day. So it has to be when somebody is on drugs or they're intoxicated or they're those things, and there have been allegations before. So the real question is, has she bought in? Has she mentally bought in to the protection of the children over and above her relationship with her children's father? After all of the testimony, that's ultimately what the answer is going to come down to. And it overwhelmingly is that she has not bought it. The defense began as everything's okay. And of course, I'm putting this in my own words. Everything's okay. But yes, he must have been doing drugs, but he hid it from me. But when he started talking, it was news to the court that he wasn't allowed to be in the home. But she didn't back that up. She backed it up with he left. He wanted to leave. He didn't know what he wanted. He left. She didn't back up that idea that he was precluded from being in the home. It doesn't appear that they have broken up. It doesn't appear that they're doing anything other than being in the same relationship that they have always been in, but for the bars. It's societally appalling, the lack of concern about allegations of strangulation. I can't imagine that strangulation is anything other than an attempted murder. When you strangle somebody, I can't imagine how it would feel to be strangled, to not know if you were going to live to the next moment, and then to consider it so lightly as she did. It didn't appear that there was any, it appeared that her major concern, despite the fact that there were repeated attempts to give her the right answer, it appeared that she hasn't bought in. That's the concern. That's where protectiveness comes in. It would only be speculation by the court that had she bought into the fact that I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm outweighed here on power. The power structure of the home is that I couldn't get him out. Had that been the defense? I don't know, but it started out that he was hiding a problem, and then it all changed when he spoke, but she didn't back it up with her own actions because it didn't appear to be true. It doesn't appear that she was protected. How long a temporary managing conservatorship would have to last for me to understand that she is protected, it's perhaps possible that there will never be a relationship between her and the children, children's father. It's very, very possible, because I didn't get the impression that there was anything other than the physical bars that was a difference in their relationship. It didn't appear that he bought in, that she's bought in. It doesn't appear that he's bought in. And that's why those things can continue to happen, and they are best handled with the children out of the home for their own protection and for the mother's incentive to get this done, to buy into these facts. If she has done the type of family violence training that she says she has, she would have already known this. But it did not appear that she has. So the court will name the department as temporary managing conservator. The court will approve the placement recommended for both parents. There will be a service plan. You will have some input into that to object or to agree, to make any suggestions with regard to it. And if there is still a dispute, then the court can weigh in on that. That will be at a status hearing. Completing this service plan is important. We want you to succeed. Failing in the service plan in whole or in part could result in further restriction or even termination of your parental rights. Mr. Nisenblatt, is there anything further that you need the court to address?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Anderson, anything further you need the court to address?
I mean, it might be a little after the fact, but I am hoping that because Benjamin, the 8-month-old, is so young, that she'd be afforded a much larger amount of visitation than is typically allowed in the beginning of the CPS case.
That's a good point, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Nisenblatt, can you instruct your client to try to assist with additional, it doesn't appear that this is about their physical safety when the dad is not around and she needs education to be. So if they're in somebody else's home, it's perhaps feasible that they could work out additional visitation. There is, with the young age of this child, more frequent visitation is generally in the best interest of the child.
Yes, Your Honor, the department will look at increasing the frequency with coordination between the department and the placement.
Mr. Anderson, can you visit with your client and come up with some very practical recommendations for that?
Absolutely. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That's a good suggestion. Thank you for making it.
Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Collins, is there anything further?
No, Your Honor, I was just gonna say I'm in agreement with what the court was, and what Mr. Anderson laid out and what the court did, and the state as for about the visits with mom and with the young child. I'm in agreement with that.
Thank you. Mr. McDonald, is there anything further?
No, Your Honor, I think honestly that is in the best interest of the youngest child and maybe even the children to have more visitation rights. There's not a safety concern really, as long as she's doing whatever is asked of her. But that's for it to be decided between them. And I agree with the temporary managing conservatorship for both parents. I think that's the best option for the children. So thank you.
Okay, so look, after she's begun what she needs to begin, I'm talking about she, so on the record, I mean mom. If we have a completely different understanding of how she's buying into the protectiveness of her children, it may not be that this needs to last a long, long, long time. It's the mental assent that I felt was lacking here. And if that has changed, I want everybody to work together to seek a return and monitor if we feel like she understands that she's got that part taken care of. Okay, thank you. Mr. Nisenblatt, you will draft that order?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. This concludes the hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Bye, everyone.